Breeders' Cup 2025 closing thoughts and what to expect, what to look forward to coming up now that the Breeders' Cup is passed. Okay, we're going to start by taking a look at the Breeders' Cup Classic here on this crisp November morning. Well, it was a thrilling classic. Forever Young showed his mettle, got it done, caps off the year. Geez, richest horse now in earnings. With a Breeders' Cup Classic victory after that big Saudi Cup thriller. And he finished just ahead of last year's defending champion, Sierra Leone. All well and good. Sierra Leone gave his patented late run. Had a good trip. Worked out well for him. And last year's second place finisher, Fierceness, finished third. What are my closing thoughts on that? Looked at the replay multiple times, looked at overhead photos. Here's my take on that race. We'll begin with the winner, Forever Young. Nice trip. He went with the pace setter, Contrary Thinking, Chad Brown's Rabbit, to try and help out Sierra Leone. But Forever Young, he's showing a different dimension now. He's showing more speed early, not dead closing like he had earlier in his career, which fits him well. Shows that he can go pretty quick early and hang on. Okay, kudos to Forever Young. Sierra Leone, yeah, the closing kick, second place. Always shows up, never missed the board. What about Fierceness? Ended up being the favorite. I believe he was 5-2 when it closed up, right? Trip had cost him the race. Okay, hurt a little bit by the Rabbit, Contrary Thinking, settled in behind Contrary Thinking and Forever Young towards the rail, saving ground. So far, so good. Or is it? Oh, what happened was this. Had a slight steady was as Contrary Thinking was slowing up. You knew that was going to happen. But it gets worse. What was he going to do? First thought was to go to the rail. There was some room inside. But what happened was, Mindframe, the other Micropoli horse, that Rod Ortiz up, decided to go for it. Ran up alongside Forever Young. So that hole wasn't open. So Fierceness went for the rail. Forever Young, nice move, shuts off the rail. So now that's not open. Just barely shut off the rail. Did he cut him off? Well, in a big race like this, it looked like he was moving quick enough that he didn't cut him off enough to warrant a disqualification of any kind. But the problem was, now Mindframe was in the spot just to the outside of Forever Young. So Fierceness now is forced to go wide, but he can't go wide right away. Now, if you look at the overhead, what happened there is now Sierra Leone was making his move just to the right of Fierceness. So now he's compromised. He can't really just swing outside of Forever Young, of Mindframe. So now he kind of hesitates slightly again. And then a little bit of a, hole opened up that he was able to make his run. Mindframe falls completely out of it. All right, Mindframe falls completely out of it. I don't know. Now, one thing about Mindframe, I think just about everybody had him as a toss. It just wasn't fast enough. But yeah, Irod Ortiz, very competitive jockey. Should Rapoli have entered him in the Breeders' Cup? Yeah, I guess so. I guess he figured it gives him 2 shots. But Rapoli's own horse might have cost him the Breeders' Cup there by, clogging up the outside of Forever Young. So he makes his move. By then, he's had to change gears twice. Didn't have enough for the finishing touch. He did get close. I think he was still a length and a half behind or something. By then, it was too late. The horse had compromised trip from the Rabbit to his own horse, Rapoli's own horse, Mindframe. And then, of course, Sierra Leone, kind of fencing Fierceness in for a brief period there. So I believe Fierceness was the best horse. Now here's another thing, one last thing on Fierceness. Now he's had 2 rough Breeders' Cups in a row. And I know I'm going into almost unholy waters here to suggest, did Johnny V cost Fierceness both last year's Breeders' Cup and this year's Breeders' Cup? Last year's, the Rabbit went much quicker than this year. This year was just just under 46 seconds for the first 2 calls. Last year it was 44.9. Fierceness went with him, and it ended up just not having enough to hold on, getting beat by Forever Young by a little bit. No, got beat by Sierra Leone by a little bit. Got to keep adjusting this. Got beat by Sierra Leone by a little bit. But this year, so Johnny V, last year he probably went too fast. He could have hung off a little bit, which he did this year. This year would have been the year to gun it, since the fractions weren't exceptionally fast in the 44.9 area as last year. He could have probably stolen the race from start to finish if he showed a little guts. That's for what Forever Young did. And I don't think Forever Young would have been able to go with Fierceness if he was running up there and remained as one of the 3 front runners from the get-go. And he had the rail. At the pace this opening fractions went, Johnny V could have taken off and probably hung on to win the Breeders' Cup Breeders' Cup Classic without having to steady, without having to get blocked, get fenced in. So I know all the Johnny V fans are going to disagree. How do you fault the Hall of Fame rider? But he might have cost Fierceness a couple of Breeders' Cup Classics. Who knows? Maybe the right move would have been to, I know it's a slap in Johnny V's face, but replace Johnny V with Irod for the Classic. Now you're really making it, tough call there. So that's my thoughts on that. What about the other horses in the Breeders' Cup? Journalism, he had his chance. He made a nice move. The 3-year-old finished 4th, beat by arguably the best 3 horses in the field. I expect more from him next year, as once he fully develops, moves towards full development at 5, but definitely development at 4. And his owners already said, handlers said he's going to be back next year. Journalism's going to be back. Pointing towards the Pegasus Stakes. over at Gulfstream Park. So that's a good news journalism. Nice run. What about Baeza? Baeza got off to a poor start. Essentially cost him the race. So that cost him the race. So he was out of it right from the get-go. So, but journalism will be back. Nothing to be ashamed of there. It looked like he was making his run, heading for home, coming off the turn. And he hung on for fourth. Mind frame out of the picture completely. After trying to press, Forever Young really dropped out of him. Dropped out of it just like that. Gone. Misses the board. Contrary thinking, I think he's going to be up for auction at Keeneland. I don't know what to make of that horse. Rabbit. He must have some kind of career, probably shortening up. I don't know. So that's it. What about Sovereignty? What Breeders' Cup Classic is complete without mentioning Sovereignty in this race? Well, missed that. Got to wonder about it. He seems to have problems shipping. He's not shipping well. He gets sick. Got sick. Came down sick. Shipping to Florida. Preakness, misses the Preakness. Not ready. Ships to California for the Breeders' Cup Classic. Spikes a fever. Horse obviously doesn't handle shipping. What's in the cards for him? Possibility of maybe retirement. But as of right now, the whispers are he's going to be pointing towards give him a big rest, get him to Dubai for the Dubai World Cup, which is in March. Give him ample time off. Hopefully, if they do that, Bill Mott ships him out there with plenty of time to recover. If he spikes a fever or something, at least he's in the area, has time to get over it. None of this ship out a week before and come up lame. I think Bill's learned his lesson with this horse. So that's it for Sovereignty. But what the Breeders' Cup Classic did do was nail down Horse of the Year for Sovereignty. Terrific year. And obviously top 3-year-old. The only chance that wouldn't have happened is if Journalism did win the Breeders' Cup Classic, where he would have surpassed Sovereignty in both G1 victories and total earnings. But it didn't happen. Sovereignty, Journalism ran in 2 more races than Sovereignty. You have to check the prize money. They're pretty close in prize money now. If we ran in 2 more races, they both had the same G1 victories. Of course, Sovereignty had the big ones, the Kentucky Derby and the Travers. And Journalism did run in all 3 Breeders' Cup races. Did run in the Pacific Coast Classic for included older horses, beaten by Fierceness. And showed up for the Breeders' Cup Classic, where he did a respectable showing, considering the tremendous established older horses. The 3 best ones came in 1, 2, 3. Gave us a lot of fun. What do we have to look forward to now that the Breeders' Cup is over? Well, we have some big stakes races, including this weekend over at Aqueduct. We're going to have the Mother Goose Stakes. That's going to be a good one. We have stakes races around this weekend. Churchill Downs. Later on in the month, we got some tremendous races. We have it's going to be closing weekend. I think it's Black Friday weekend. Closing weekend at Churchill Downs. We have Thanksgiving weekend. So a lot of big races. Those are going to be great cards, because Churchill, of course, will be closed until next year. Kentucky Derby season, basically. And Del Mar's going to have some big races. End of the month, of course, we got the Hollywood Gold Cup. So it's going to be some fun races over there. That's going to be a big weekend at Delmar. So huge races end of the month. And we have Churchill Downs running this month. We have Delmar running this month. Aqueduct has big races. They're really putting it together over there. Some improved cards. So a lot of good racing to go. And Aqueduct in the beginning of the month, of course, we have futures pools coming up. Aqueduct in early December does have the Remsen Stakes. That's for points to get into qualify for the Derby. So we have a lot of good races. We're not at a shortage of big races. And then the next thing you know, after New Year's, start of the New Year's, we got Pegasus World Cup day, and early next month, then we're going to have the Saudi Cup. And Santa Anita, that's going to be a big deal in September, where they have the start of the Santa Anita meet. Santa Anita opens. We're going to have those big races over at Santa Anita. They begin there the day after Christmas. So a lot to look forward to moving forward as far as the races go. So that's my take. Other things on the Breeders' Cup. Go back there for a minute. White Barrio gets scratched. Beautiful foliage here. Gets scratched from the dirt mile. Owners, trainers saw nothing wrong with the horse. The vets, stewards, more the vets, they didn't like the way he was walking around and scratched him, to the dismay of all the fans and owners, trainers alike of White Barrio. And then the horse was fine. Galloped off the track. Galloped off the track. No sign of any injuries. The horse was 100%. That's a shame. They're going to have to look. They're going to be investigating that. The procedures, how they come up with these scratches. Just terrible. And you know, he runs well on the West Coast. White Barrio did win the Classic in 2023 Breeders' Cup. And his next, they're pointing him. He's going to run next year again. He's coming back, White Barrio, being pointed towards the Pegasus. Now that'll be something. He'll get to face journalism out there. And who knows who else? Probably a host of horses. So we got a lot to look forward to for the new year. And Bob Baffert plans to run Nisos again, of course. Did just edge out Citizen Bull in a thriller in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. The Baffert 1-2 finish there. So horse racing is all well and good as we move forward into this into the new season going forward. So what do you think? Did Fierceness get screwed by the ride of Johnny V? But even more importantly than that, the rabbit getting fenced in on the rail. Would have liked to see Johnny V up closer. He had the horse to do it. You knew he ran very well at the track last year. Could have maybe just motored away. Had the rail, no excuses. And last year going too quick. Did he screw him out of 2 Breeders' Cup Classics? And his own stablemate, Mindframe, blocking him out, his path. And we know Sovereign, Sierra Leone. What do you think about these? Let us know in the comments area. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you're playing today, best of luck. Bring it home. Ice water in the veins. You don't want to get too high after a win, too low after a loss. The emotions get in your way. You want to be in control of your emotions, not your emotions in control of you. If you find yourself shaken up, even after a big win, after a race, there's no crime in taking a race off or two to regroup. There's always another race. Whatever you do, you don't want to be running to that ATM machine chasing money. Well, have a great day. And remember, May the horse be with you.